Hello Saber fans, Shamim here. You guys have asked for it, and now I am giving it to you. This will be a start-to-finish tutorial on how to install sound into an empty saber hilt. This is not the only way to do it. This is not the right way to do it. This is simply the process that I have found to be effective for me personally. You are welcome to use elements of this tutorial and adapt it for your own needs. You are also free to throw anything I have to say in this video out the window and figure out a much better way to do it. And if you do, by all means, please let me know. I'd love to continue learning and continue improving my craft. So yeah, in this particular video, we'll be working with an empty SaberForge Fallen. This is based on the Revan lightsaber from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And the soundboard we'll be using is the very small Nano Biscotti V3 by Plector Labs. LED, we have a Tri-Luxen Amber White, or Tri-Rebel I should say. Is it Rebel? Yes, Tri-Luxen Rebel. We've got our lens, we've got momentary switch, we've got a recharge port, Heatsink module that will fit in the SaberForge Saber. We've got two resistors here for the two amber dyes on the LED. We've got an 18650 lithium-ion 3.7 volt battery, and we've got a 2-watt base speaker. That's all our equipment, so that is what's going inside of the lightsaber. Over here, got my soldering iron. The tip has been pre-tinned. We've got Flux, very, very important. I only just discovered Flux like relatively recently, within the last 6 months or so, and it makes soldering so much easier. Got a pair of alligator clamps. I don't use them all that much because I'm ghetto and I like to hold things with my own hands. I probably should do it more. Got a little plastic tube here. This will shield all the electronics and will serve as the chassis. So all the soundboard and battery pack will go in here, along with the speaker, and we'll slide it into the bottom. This will also prevent any of the solder joints from making contact with the metal aluminum hilt and shorting out. Wires, bunch of colors. We got a little bit of Velcro. We'll use that inside the chassis. And we've got some other tools here, and a little bit of electrical tape just in case. Heatshrink, most important thing. Don't you ever, ever, ever wire anything without ever using heatshrink. You gotta use heatshrink. And solder, most important tool of the day. I will try to do this video without making any cuts, so we'll see how long the video takes. I will start by tinning the tips of these the momentary switch and the recharge port. So I will put some solder on there. So I take the solder and I tap it to the pre-tinned soldering gun, soldering tip, and go like so. Boom, boom. You see how there is now solder on the momentary switches, on the leads. I will do the same with the recharge port here. That's one leg, that's 2 legs, 3 legs. I will now clean a soldering iron on a wet sponge here, and then I will re-tin it. Okay, so those are ready to go. I'll set those aside. I will now tin all 6 pads on the LED just to get a bit more solder on them so it makes it easier to attach the wires later on. Boom. 1, 2, 3. So basically what you want to do is you want to touch the soldering gun to the point that's being soldered on the pad, and also touch the soldering, the solder itself. So 1 and 2 both go onto the pad, and then the solder melts onto the pad. And then you remove the soldering gun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. See that I have added a little bit. Let's see. There you go. You can see I've added solder onto all 6 pads. Now we will do the same onto the NBv3 Soundboard. I will do these pads. Oh, whoopsies! There it goes. I will do these pads over here on this side. But first, I will remove the SD card. You never want to solder the the soundboard when the SD card is installed. So I will go down the line. 1, 2. I'll just give you an example. You can see the 2 on the right, I guess, there have more solder, whereas the ones on the left, you can see through them. There's holes. There is no solder in them yet. This saber is not going to have flash on clash, although with the NBv3 soundboard, you can wire a flash on clash very easily. But I want to use all 3 dye to create a unique shade of yellow. It will be amber whites. I've never seen this shade before, and I don't want to have any flash on clash messing with it. I want to have all 3 dyes going. Okay, so I've got all 3 done. This battery comes with JST connectors from the custom saber shop, but I won't be using the JST connectors. I'll be wiring these directly into the electronic components. So I'm going to go ahead and clip off the JST connector 1 wire at a time. Otherwise, if you do both of the wires, there's a chance of a bridge being made across the scissors and ruining the battery, so I'm not going to do that. Okay. Now, I will get some wiring going. I'm very familiar with the NBv3 soundboard, so I'm not going to explain every single step of the process and where all the wires go and how I know that, but just know that in the manual for the NBv3 soundboard, there are plenty of different diagrams, wiring diagrams, for showing where the different wires go, and depending on the kind of install you're going to be doing. So I like to start with the LED because that's simple. It goes straight from here all the way to the end. And it's the longest wire that I'll need. I will need 1 red and I will need 1 black. So I will take the wiring and say, you know, the soundboard won't be coming out very far. It'll come out maybe about this far. And then I want to be able to give a little bit of extra give. So I will give a little extra give on this side and a little extra on this side. I don't like to measure everything exactly, just in case I like to have a little bit of extra on both sides. So I've got my red. I'm going to do the same with the black, since they will be going to the same place. I'm going to make sure that they are the same length. So I've measured the black the same length as the red, and I'll cut. So these 2 will go from the soundboard to the LED. There are some other things going on there. We'll have some resistors, but for now, these go from the soundboard to the LED. Okay, so that's the LED taken care of. Switch and recharge port. Let's do the switch first. That can just be, let's do 2 blue switches, or 2 blue wires, why not? So the switches comes out here, same length there. So that's about as much length as I will need. And there are 2 leads on the switch, so we'll cut 2 wires to that length. These 2 blue wires will go to the switch. Recharge port. So there are 3 leads on the recharge port. This long one here is a red. It goes from the positive battery and the positive soundboard. This one next to it in the middle is from the negative battery, and the one on the left is the negative of the soundboard. So the battery has its own black. I will extend that now so that it can reach the recharge port. So if the battery is around here, let's see how much additional black I will need to reach the recharge port. Only about that much. Maybe not even that much. Let's see. There we go. Let's do a little bit like that. That's as much black as I will need for the battery. And let me go ahead and do that now. I'll attach it onto the battery negative. So what I'm going to do now, grab a hold of this wire, nice and tight. And I got my wire strippers. I'm going to strip the black rubber off of it, exposing the copper wire or aluminum wire, whatever kind of wiring it is underneath. I'm going to do the same with the extra bit of black wiring that I have. So now both of these are exposed. We're going to connect the two together now. I'm going to physically connect these two wires just a little bit. It doesn't have to be super tight, but just enough like that. Now we're going to get the solder out. Coat a little bit of solder onto the joint there. This will help, or coat a little bit of flux onto the joint there. I'm sorry, this will help the solder when I attach the solder. So technically, if I were being super professional right now, I would have these guys in alligator clamps, but I'm not super professional. I'm just a guy. Touch it, make sure it's hot. You never want a cold solder joint. You always want it to be hot. There you go. I'm pulling, and that is not going anywhere. A little bit of heat shrink. It is called heat shrink in my understanding because when you apply heat to it, it shrinks. Ha ha ha, what a funny name. So I'm going to slide the heat shrink over the wire and cover up the joint so that there is a little bit, oopsies, that's too much. I want to make sure that it goes over the wire on both sides and also covers up the joint. Then, with the bottom part of my soldering iron, the part that doesn't have any solder on it, I will lightly caress the edges until I have gotten 360 degrees around the heat shrink and it has shrunk a little bit. This helps insulate and also strengthen the connection. Okay, so that's that. Recharge port now we need from the board going to the battery. I will use a green wire for this. The board is around here, recharge port is around there. That's about as much as I need. And then I also need a red one for the recharge port. That can be the same length as the green. I'll measure it here. So we've got my green wire. I'm going to measure the red now. That will go from the board and the battery to the recharge port. So these three wires are going to go to the recharge port. The black from the battery, the green, which is the negative from the board, and the red, which will be the positive from the board. What I will do is I will attach this red from the battery to the board, and then this red will carry from both the battery and the soundboard. I'm not an electrical engineer, so I use terms that probably are not 100% accurate, but that's okay. Drink some water because talking is thirsty work. I now need speaker. 2 short ones for the speaker. Let's make those 2 black. About that length is good. And I will make 2 of them. Okay, that should be pretty much most of the wiring that we'll need. We'll need a little bit of wiring here on the LED to bridge some of these pads, and I will do that in a minute. Okay. Let us work on the LED right now a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bridge all three positives together here on the LED. To do that, I will cut a little bit of red wire, about that much. That's one. I will need 2 of those. And then the red wire that I already cut, the long one, will go and it will connect all of those. I will also need, what else will I need? I'll need a little bit of black wire for the 2 negative ones. Those will go off the LED. They will get resistors on them, and then they will join with the 3rd white one and all go back to the board. So we'll get 3 black ones here. Okay. I will start with these small red ones. I'll grab it like so, rip off just a little bit on one side, rip off just a little bit on the other side, so that a little bit of wire is exposed on either side of the red. I will dip both sides into some flux. Now there's still sufficient solder gunked up on the soldering iron, so I will just touch those lightly. And I have now tinned both sides of this red wire. It's very hard to see, I apologize. But those exposed wires have now been melted together with solder. And it will make it much, much, much easier to put those onto the LED pads, which also have solder. Basically, anytime you're connecting 2 wires or pads or things together, I have found, and I think most of the community will agree, that to have both things soldered and then just use the tip that also has solder on and make all the solder flow and then remove, that's probably the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to bridge the positive pads. So I'm going to grab one positive here. Boom. Ow, that was hot. Because the other side is exposed. That was stupid of me. Alright. So I've done one of the pads, now I'm going to do the other pad on the LED. Come on. Boom. Okay. So now this red wire is connecting 2 of the positive pads on the LED. I will now strip and tin this other red wire and do the exact same. One little guy and 2 little guy. Okay, dip them in some solder, some flux. I always mix up those 2 terms. Alright, let's add a bit more solder on here. There we go. Alright, so we'll go from one positive pad, hot, to the other positive pad. And this will be bridging all 3 positive pads on the LED. Boom. We've got all 3 bridged. Now, let's do the 3 negative ones. I've got my short black wire. I'm going to strip a little bit. Got my other black wire. I'm going to strip a little bit. And my 3rd black wire. I'm going to strip a little bit. I'm not actually stripping, so don't get excited, all you guys. We'll dip it into some flux. Solder it. That one's done. We'll dip it into some flux. Put some solder on. Boom. That's done. And the last one. Dip it in the flux. Done. Very easy. I'm going to clean this guy off on the sponge. add a bit more new fresh solder. Now I'm not bridging anything now on the LED. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put one wire on each of the 3 respective pads. So there's one pad. This is for one of the amber LEDs. Done. We'll go and we'll do the second amber LED. Done. And now the third one, this is the white. Come on. Done. Okay, very good. I've got my long red wire. This is the one that will go from the soundboard to the LED. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to trim it a little bit. Dip it in the flux. Put a little bit of, let's see, let's clean this and get some fresh solder on there. Okay, now it doesn't matter which of the 3 positive pads I attach this long red wire to, because all 3 of them have been bridged. So I will pick one right over here, next to the white one. I'll move that black out of the way. And melt. There we go. Okay. So now we've got one red long wire and 3 short black ones. This is now where we will put it into our heatsink module. So I'm going to thread the red wire through one of these holes. Then I'm going to thread these 3 black wires through their corresponding holes, if you know what I mean. Oopsies, this red one's going through the wrong one. Let's try that again. And now this black one's going through the wrong one. There. Come on. Okay. Now we've got it so that it's sitting flat on the heatsink, and I've got the 3 wires, 3 black wires. Okay. Now I'm going to find which are the 2 that connect to the yellow or the amber LEDs. I'm going to add the resistors onto those. So the resistors also have been pre-tinned with solder, so I'm going to do the same on here on these 2 wires. I'm going to dip them in flux, put on some solder, You know, I just realized that this 3rd black wire should be a little bit longer because the resistors are going to bring it up to about here, and then all 3 of them need to connect. So I'm going to take the negative white one off and cut a slightly longer one. This is also the good thing about using flux and solder and whatnot, is that if you need to remove components, it's extremely easy to do that. Look at how quickly I did that. That was done. Okay. Let's do a slightly longer one. I'll do that long, and then I can always cut it down a bit more if I need to. So we'll trim a little off the tip, put it in the flux. Boom. Oops, why am I putting that away? I don't need to put that away. I need to put this back on the soundboard. Okay. Then we'll thread this guy back through. That one goes here. As Han would say, this one goes there, that one goes there, right? And Chewie agrees. Okay. Those are all set now. I'm also going to put the lens on now. This is a special lens designed for Tri-Cree, Tri-Rebel, basically any Tri-LED out there. Now, with the SaberForge Heatsink, it's not designed to accept Tri-LEDs. It's designed to accept the lenses are slightly taller for the quad LEDs that they use, or the single 6-watt LEDs that they use. So I had to fill out this this module a bit by using a couple of these little internal snap rings. I didn't have any O-rings, so you could also use O-rings, those rubber O-rings, but this works just as well. Come on. I don't want them tangled up like that. We'll do 1, put it in. We'll do 2, put it in. We'll do 3, put it in. Okay, then I will tighten this. And then go in through here with pliers, make it very tight. Boom. We're ready to go. Okay, where are my resistors? Before I put the resistors on, I'm going to get a little bit of Heatshrink and thread it onto each of these 2 wires that are going to get resistors on them. The reason I do this now, before I start soldering, is so that, well, you'll see, I learned the hard way. On some of them you can just slide the heat shrink on after you solder, but some of them you have to be prepared depending on the configuration. So with this configuration, when I attach the resistor here, the heat shrink is going to be too small to slide over the resistor itself and join the and go onto the joint, so I have to slide it on beforehand. I'm ghetto and lazy, so the resistor is going to get hot and I'm going to scream, but boom. Ooh, hot, 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 hot. Okay, that's 1 resistor. Where's my second one? Is over here. Let's see. I'll do it this way. That's 2 resistors. Okay, I'm gonna pull. Oh, the heat shrink fell into the holes. That's lovely. Okay, there they go. They come out. Now I see the heat shrink goes on and covers up the joint between the wire and the resistor on both of those. I will now use the soldering gun to shrink the heat shrink. You don't want to hold the soldering gun onto the heat shrink too long. It can melt, which is no good to anybody. Just apply enough heat so that it starts shrinking. Okay, here we go. Now, we're going to join, let's see, what's the best way to do this? We could join both the resistors together plus the other black wire, have them all go together. Or we could do a little bit of black wire going off of each of the resistors before it goes on to the main black wire. So I think I'm going to do that just so that I can have some additional heat shrink locations for joining the resistors together. Just adds a little bit more stability and sturdiness. So I've got a little bit of black wire. I'm going to join them together with the resistor. Not enough solder on my gun. Boom. Boom. There we go. Come on. Ooh, yeah, that's hot. Okay, very good. Put on a bit more solder. And do the second one. Great. Okay, I'll get some heat shrink. 1, and we'll put you on here. Bloop. 2, and we'll put you on here. Cover up the joint. Okay. Let me rub you off. Okay, that one's good. Good. Okay. Clean her off. Put on some more solder. Now we are ready to join all 3 of these guys together. Which one is the shortest? What I can do is just go like so. Boom. Okay. I'll strip a little bit off of each one. A little bit more this time, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist all 3 of these wires together before they go to the main one. So let's see, let's twist these 2 together first. Just a little bit. And we'll add in the 3rd one. Yeah, very exciting. Sorry you can't see me twisting wires together. Boom. Got all 3. This will go to our long black wire that we cut earlier. And this will go to the negative pad on the LED, or on the soundboard. Negative soundboard pad, negative LED pad on the soundboard. You know what I mean. Okay, I've joined those together. We'll dip it and add a little bit of flux onto that, not too much. And now we're going to add the solder. Wipe off some of the extra flux that melted, but that is strong and secure. Okay. I've got some slightly larger heat shrink. We'll make an initial covering. This won't go over all 3 of them. Probably not. It might. Let's see if I can squeeze it in. Nope, that won't. Okay, so that will just cover the solder joint, and then we'll go over with a second larger one. That will go over all 3. There we go. This is the larger one. It will go over all 3. We'll move you guys away. So this larger one goes over both the initial heat shrink as well as a little bit of all three of those. Maximum efficiency. Cool. LED is done. What we can do now is put it into the hilt. Most of SaberForge's hilts, most any hilt, will have some kind of LED retention screw. This one here is for the blade and for the blade plug, but this one here is the LED retention screw. So what we'll do is we'll slide that down to about there, screw that in, and lock the LED in place. Meanwhile, these wires will come out through the bottom. Let's unscrew the pommel so that we can get those wires out through the bottom. I will twist these wires a little bit together so that I make sure both of them come out the other side together. I will then dip the wires into the hilt. And look, there it came out the other side. Very easy. We'll pull this in. Oops, way too far. Okay, to about there. I pushed it in. Grab my Allen wrench tool. Tighten. Did I get it? Yes, I got it. Nice. There you can see it locked firmly in place with the wires here. You can see the wires passing through the switch holes there. Perfect. These will eventually be soldered onto the soundboard. You can see I do have quite a bit of extra, but that's okay. I prefer to have extra rather than find that I've cut myself too short, and then I would have to rewire it. I'm not very finicky when it comes to wires. Let's do the switch next. The switch comes with this little nut around, which is helpful if you are working with a hilt in which there is very easy access to the area where the switch is located. For example, if the hilt unscrewed right here, and like with my finger I could go in, I put the switch in here, and then I tighten the nut and lock it in place, that would be very easy and very efficient, very useful. But on this particular hilt, that's not the case. I could put the wires through here, thread it through here, then go in with like a pencil eraser or something and tighten this as it goes around. It's not worth the headache, so I'm just going to use some crazy awesome super glue and glue this guy in place once I get the wires soldered on. What did I say I was using for the switch? These blue ones. Yes. Okay. So let's strip a little bit off of each guy. Then we'll throw it in the flux and get some solder on it. Doop. Doop. Easy. Doop. Doop. Alrighty. I will now, since this is it has solder, and this has solder, both of them are tinned, I will attach them like so, and use the soldering iron to melt the solders together. Boom, that's one. Tugging and nothing's coming off. It's a nice hot solder joint. This is super ghetto. I really should be holding these together with alligator clamps or something, but super ghetto, that's my name. Okay, we got the switches. I'm going to twist the wires together so that they will come out through the bottom of the saber together. Now I'm not going to glue the switch in or the recharge port in until I have wired it up to the soundboard and tested it just to make sure everything is working. It would be unfortunate if I had super glued it, I tested and realized, for example, the switch is defective or something. That would be unfortunate. Alrighty, now what do we got? Recharge port will be a little bit different. I'm going to do that one differently. No, I will be able to attach the red and the black, the red and the green ones, and then I will have to thread this battery up through and connect it. So let's do that now. Let's do the red and the green. So this will go to the battery, or I'm sorry, this one will go to the soundboard. Get a bit more clean flux on there, clean solder. I always mix those two up. Alright, and the green one. This guy will go to the negative on the soundboard. And then the black one will be the negative from the battery pack. Purpose of the recharge port and the kill key is so it creates a separation between the battery and the soundboard. The positive ones are bridged. The positive, negative, the positive from the soundboard, the positive from the battery pack, those are the red ones. The red ones all go together on the recharge port. But when the kill key is inserted, it creates a separation between the negative of the battery and the negative of the soundboard. This prevents the circuit from being made. Therefore, no power can flow between the battery and the soundboard. But when you take out the kill key, then so imagine you got two walls in here, and the kill key comes in and it prevents those two metal taps from touching. When you pull out the kill key, it snaps back together, the negative. So the negative of the battery and the negative of the soundboard come back together, and that's where you activate. You get your boot sound and everything else. Okay, I've tinned these guys, right? Yes. Have I? Yes, I have. I should stop talking and just focus. Just focus, Shami. Alright, here comes the red one. It took me a long time before I finally memorized the locations of which of these three legs was which. But I finally got it. Okay, that one's good. So the middle one there is for the battery. That means this other one is for the soundboard, negative. Boop. All right. I am going to heat shrink both of those connections. Green guy, come to me. Can I make it on? Yes, good, good. Your heat shrink has made you powerful. Perhaps you refer to the imminent attack by your rebel soundboard. Yes, I assure you, we are quite safe from electrical discharge here. Your overconfidence is your weakness. Your faith in your friends is yours. Oh, faith in your mama. What was that? I said your mama's so fat, Jabba the Hutt said, damn! Well, your mother's so ugly, she put the ugh in Ugnaught. Yeah, if y'all haven't seen the Robot Chicken and Yo Mama fight between Emperor Palpatine and Luke Skywalker, it's pretty much the greatest thing on the internet. Okay, we've got a kill key. I'm going to plug that in here now, just to be safe. And then I'm going to wrap these two guys together. Actually, before I do that, let's thread this battery negative one up through here. This is going to be fun. Come on. Let me thread it, and do I see it? Yes, I do. Let's go in and grab it. Yoink. No, is that it? No, that's not it. Is it it? What if it's that one? Nope. Yes. Nope. Yes. Good. I got it. I'm like, is it? Is it? No. Yes. No. Maybe. All right. I'm going to strip this guy a little bit. Actually, let's see. Is that enough? Yeah, that's good. It'll go in. We'll do a little bit of crème fou. It'll be fine. Bloop. And I need some more. Blop, blop, blop. Bloop. All right, and you, aha, did you see that? I was so close to doing it. I need to put the heat shrink on before I make the solder connection. Because there's no way the heat shrink's going on from the other side. There's a battery there. Okay. Again, this is a point where I really should be using alligator clamps, but screw that. Alright, we're good. Where'd my heat shrink go? Oh, did it go all the way back in the hilt? Come on. There you are. I'll pull you out. There's the heat shrink. I hope that some of this, or most of it, is, you know, discernible on the video. I haven't really looked up. I probably should have done that at least once just to make sure that you can see. Hopefully you can. If not, this video will be useless. So I apologize. And y'all won't get to be with me for an hour as I built this stupid thing. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna thread these guys in through here. Where are you? Where are you? What is this? What is this? What is this? There was so many things. There we go. There's the red and the green. Okay. We got the recharge port, we got the switch, we got the LED. We're moving in a this way direction. I like to move down the hilt, so the speaker will be the last thing that I install. Okay. We've got all the wires coming out of here. It is time to do the soundboard. This is one of my favorite things to do, is the soundboard. Okay, where do I want to start? Let's start with all the reds. All the reds have to go together, and they will all go to the positive marker on the soundboard. Let's see. So the chassis is going to be somewhat like this, so that I have easy access to the SD card. So the speaker will be right here. I can move the speaker out of the way, easy access to the SD card. Which means I want to go this way. Okay. Let's see. That's about as much as I need. So let's trim you. I'm going to put these two together because they're both going onto the same pad on the soundboard. Okay, we'll spin the two of you together, we'll wrap you together, dip you both in a little bit of flux. Oh, that's a lot. Oh my god, too much flux, too much flux. Okay, and I'll show you the proper way of doing this. You shouldn't really just be using what's left on your solder gun. You should go like this. A little flux dripped off. Isn't that cute? Okay. I don't need it to be this long. You can see how long the exposed wire is. I only need about that much. That's all I need. Just a little bit to go onto the pad. I'm also going to flip this all around because I like to work like so, where I have the wire in my left hand, the soldering gun in my right hand, and the point that I'm doing it down on the floor. That's how I personally like to work. Okay. Move the battery out of the way. I don't want that anywhere near. All right. Boom. The positives have now been put onto the soundboard. Next in line, let's do negative LED. That's this black guy here. Okay, so it can all be the same length-ish. Negative LED. So this one only has one wire going on the pad. Other ones like positive pad or negative pad have multiple wires going to it, but the negative LED only has one. I'm going to trim a little bit of the wire there, move this excess wire out of the way, and then put you here. Come on, out of my way. Let's get some more solder on here. This will make it easier to attach. Oops. You can see what I did. I accidentally bridged two of these pads. So I'm going to take the wire off, and I'm going to unbridge these two pads here on the LED. Or on the soundboard. There. Now they are unbridged, which is good. You don't want to have two things bridging that aren't supposed to be bridged, obviously. Okay. Negative of the board. That's where the green goes. That's also where one of the switch wires goes on the NanoBiscotti soundboard. So I'm going to find out the length I need here, about yay much, and I'm going to wrap the negative from the recharge port and one of the switch wires together. Oops, this is the one I want. The other switch wire will go to the designated switch pad on the soundboard. This is just the way that NanoBiscotti soundboard is designed. Other soundboards, such as Spark 2, it has two switch pads on the soundboard, and they are independent of any other pads, so you don't have to worry about where does my other switch wire go? Does it go here? Does it go there? It's very easy. The same with the SaberForge Champion soundboards, actually. They have two independent pads for your two switch leads, which makes it very easy. It took me a long time to figure out when I was doing a recharge port for the first time. Does the other switch pad go to the battery, or does it go to the negative on the soundboard? It took me a long time to figure that out. And finally I learned that it goes to the negative of the soundboard. So there we go. We've got the green, which is the negative from the recharge port, going to the soundboard negative, and we've also got one of the blue ones, which is the switch. Moving down, let's do the other switch wire now. This one goes directly to, it doesn't matter which of the blue ones, because there is no positive negative for the switch, so it doesn't matter, which is good. Let's see, that's about that much I can do. Move the extra out of the way. Cut just a wee bit. I don't have to connect that with any other wire. This one goes directly to the board. Okay. There's a flash on clash pad here on the soundboard, but as I mentioned, I am not using flash on clash in this particular build. Okay, there we go. Two more things I need to do. I need to connect the battery positive onto the soundboard. I'll do that last. And then I also need to do the speakers. Here we've got our two speaker wires. I will first connect those to the actual speaker itself. A little bit of solder in my life, a little bit of flux right by her side. Little bit of soundboard's all I need. Little bit of wiring's what I see. Little bit of SaberForge in the sun. Ultra Sabers, Vader's Vault, can't go wrong. What else can I do? I don't know, I'm not good at improvising. Alrighty. We've got both of those black wires tinned. Come to me, speaker. We'll move you guys out of the way for a second. So, the speaker, there's the 2-watt bass speaker. It has a solder point here and here. That is what we will be doing. I'm going to clean off my tip, put some extra solder on there, and get ready for awesomeness. Boom. Easy. These pads here are pre-tinned. There is solder already there, which is why I didn't have to tin it myself. So this is soldered, this is soldered, this is soldered. All I gotta do is touch it all together and let the solder flow. I move it away. All it takes is a second or so of contact for it to be nice and snug. What I will now do is use some slightly larger heat shrink to cover up those connectors. And what I will do is I will cut an angled bit of heat shrink. And I will show you why I will do that, one for each. It is so that, it's hard to explain, but the angle goes like this, and it will help to cover a lot more of the solder than if I had just used this, because it would end here, and there would still be a little bit of exposed solder. It's just a tip that I learned, I think it was actually on one of the Custom Saber Shop's videos. So like so, when I do this, the heat shrink will end up covering all of the solder, as opposed to, let me demonstrate on the other side, if I just used a flat end. That's as far as I would be able to go, and there's still exposed solder. So you can see that there's much less exposed solder, if at all, on this side, as opposed to that side. So let me flip this one around to the angled way. And there you see no solder is exposed. Okay. We're gonna heat you up and make you shrink. I'm gonna clean you off a bit. And bend. I like to bend the wire on the soundboard down like that. One thing about heat shrink is that it's malleable when it's hot, and once it cools, it stays in that position. And it becomes it becomes a little hard, which is nice. So I can sort of bend the heat shrink into whatever position I want while it is hot and being shrunken down. So I'll bend it down like so, and it will stay in that position when I'm done. I'll clean this off and add some more solder. Good. Okay. And we'll then do a little bit of twisting here. Just a little bit. Twist these wires together. Just to make it a little bit more secure. I think actually what I will do is I will, if I can find my hot glue gun. There we go. I will stick in my hot glue gun, let this heat up. I will use some hot glue to glue that down, so that while I'm moving the speaker around, there's very little chance for any of these wires here or here, for the solder joints themselves to become strained and eventually pull loose, possibly. In the meantime, I will cut these both down to size and get them ready to be added onto the soundboard. Flux, boop, and boop. I want to make sure I don't get the hot glue gun and the soldering iron tangled up. That's all I need, is for one of those hot things to fall onto the ground, and that would be fun. Okay. We'll switch you around. There we go, soundboard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have the wiring coming off like this. Let me plug this in and show you. You see, all the wires are going that direction. I'm going to have, these are the last two pads up here. The speaker wires are going to go in this direction. Like so. Okie dokie. And again, there's no polarity on speakers, so there are two pads on the soundboard, and it does not matter which one goes where, which is very nice. And melted. And melted. Okay. That was good. Boom, like so. Let's see, is hot glue gun warmed up enough yet? Yes. Yes. Good. It will make a great ally. It's not the cleanest job in the world, but it gets the job done. Okay. Pull a little bit of the extra glue strands off. I feel like spider webs. Okay, there's one more. Off you go. Now, last but not least, we've got to connect the positive of the battery to the rest of the soundboard. I'm going to go like this. This is how I want it to be mounted. So I'm going to have this red wire come up like so and go onto the opposite side of the soundboard. See how the red wires are all soldered onto this side. I'm going to have this red wire come onto the opposite side like so. I'm going to strip it. Let's see, how much do I need? About yay much. I can trim a little bit of that off. And this should be the last soldering joint that I will need to do on this lightsaber. You can go down there. Alright, I'm going to clean you off a little bit. Get some solder out. Okay. And let's see, I will trim this a little bit. That's too much. Ready, set, go. Boom. And just a little trim there. Okay. Everything is connected. This is where we test. Let's move all this stuff out of the way. This is where we test. Let's put the SD card in. Make sure the kill key is installed. hear the click. That means it's good. Speaker makes noise. And we have light. Let's see, do we have motion? We have motion. We have clash. We have a little bit of flickering on clash. Do we have deactivation? Yes, we do. That is very good. I want to see, do I have all three colors? Yes, I do. I have my ambers and I have the whites. Okay. Now what I'm going to do first is glue these two in. So I will get out. This is Hobbytown, USA. It's my local hobby shop. Extra thick Maxi-Cure. Cyanocrylite something, I don't know, I can't read that. Okay, let's do the switch first. Pull that out. There is a lip, it's a countersunk lip on the soundboard, or on the saber, you can see, so that the switch is able to sit recessed into the hilt. What I will do is I will put the glue onto that lip in the hilt itself. Just a little bit, all the way around. And now on this side. Okay. I will put you in, and I will push you in and hold you for about 20 seconds or so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Ready or not, here I come. Okay. Let's see now. I want to get this angle right. I don't want it to just be because it's an asymmetric recharge port, so I can't just put it in any which way like I can with the switch. Do I want it facing up or down? Let's have it facing down. Okay. Again, I will apply glue to the lip, the countersunk lip here on the lightsaber itself. We'll also add a little bit onto the inner edge to help with the retention. Okay, and get it perfectly aligned. Boom. Cap that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I haven't actually been paying attention to the counting. I just realized I may have missed a number, and if so, I do apologize. I'm not actually a stupid person, but it's late. Okay, boom, that's done. Let's put kill key in. Very nice. Now comes time to sort of build the chassis. Put the glue away. We don't need that anymore. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put an adhesive strip of Velcro on this side of the battery that the soundboard is going to rest upon. This is not essential to do. I just like to do it because I like the feeling that there is something soft in between my soundboard and my battery. This is just my own personal preference, like so. Okay. What I will then do, I will use a little bit of electrical tape around the wiring here and the battery. Not on the soundboard itself, because as I understand, the soundboard needs to breathe, and so it shouldn't be taped up or epoxied up or anything. This is what I understand from other sabersmiths. This is what I have been told based on their experience. I'm going to do about that length. But doing it around the wires and the battery helps to sort of hold all of it together. And I will do it relatively close to the soundboard itself, so that there is as little strain on all the solder joints as possible. So even if the soundboard is moving or the wiring is moving around, these actual joints do not have a lot of strain put on them, which is good. Okay, next what I will do is I will cut some additional rolls of adhesive-backed Velcro available at any hardware store, and I will put them on either side of the battery. This I do to sort of pad it out a bit. I then have a little short strip of Velcro, not adhesive backed, that I will attach right about there. Then, to secure all of it together, I'm going to do one more strip, the same place that I did before. I'm also going to do one smaller strip here underneath, not quite underneath the soundboard, but right at the edge of the soundboard. Yeah, I guess underneath the soundboard. There we go. Okay, this is my chassis. Now comes the plastic tube. This plastic tube I purchased at a custom saber shop. It is too thick, or not, it's too wide to go inside the diameter of a SaberForge hilt. So what I do is I cut it so that it can be rolled up to any diameter I require. This also helps with the pressure fitting, and it prevents the soundboard battery setup from going anywhere. There, I wrap the whole thing in like that. And then I will start gently to cram fluid in here. Let's see, this may actually be a little too long. We'll experiment. In you go. In you go. That didn't sound good. Let's see what happened. That may just have been plastic crumpling. Hopefully it was just plastic crumpling. Yeah, okay. So the plastic is just a little bit too long. This is what the Velcro strip is. It helps so you can pull it all out. So otherwise I would have to go in with pliers and grab something. I don't want to do that. Okay. So this plastic is a little bit too long. I'm going to trim about that much of it off. You can see that, so the threading on the speakers goes to, the threading on the pommel goes to about here. This is where the chassis will stop. So that's about as much, actually that's about perfect right there. This is the perfect size now. Okay. We'll do a little bit of this in first, all the way in. Okay, and then this Velcro goes on top of the battery and the soundboard. The speaker is the very last thing to go in. Push it in just gently, and then we'll screw the pommel on. The pommel then pressure fits against everything inside. Prevents anything from rattling around, and it will provide a very, hopefully, loud resonance chamber. Let's quit quickly put a blade inside and see what color LED we have. This is a brand new LED configuration that I've never done before. We'll tighten the blade retention screw. Well, the white is definitely washing out the two ambers. So I may play with putting a resistor on the white to tone it down and get a little bit more of the amber going. But it's cool. I mean, you can pull out the LED and switch it out with any color that you want. In fact, let's see if we can do that. How much give is there on the wiring for the LED? I will unscrew the LED retention screw here. Not much give. If I unscrew this portion here, I may be able to get a little bit more. In any case, you don't need to watch me try and figure out the LED issues. That's separate from the actual install. That's just I don't like the color and I want to change it. But anyway, there you go. Last step is to put a blade plug in. This is a Graflex style blade plug made by KR Sabers. And I'm just going to put it in here just because there's a little bit of brass to it. And I think it looks kind of nice. There you go, inside there. Nice brass blade plug. So, thank you all for watching and taking this hour-long journey with me as we build a lightsaber together. If you have any questions about this process or similar processes, or you want me to customize a lightsaber for you, please don't hesitate to ask. I don't read YouTube comments or YouTube messages all that often. The best way to get in touch with me is to message me on my Facebook Customs page. The link is below in the description of the video. That is really the best way to get in touch with me regarding custom saber work. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to SaberForge for providing this great-looking hilt. Thank you to all the other electronic companies out there that provide the wiring and the soundboards, Plector Labs, Nigon's Electronic Creations, all the LEDs, everything. So thank you to everyone. All the thanks. Lots of thanks. I'm throwing out all the thanks to you guys. But especially to you guys, the viewing audience, for putting up with this hour and 18-minute long video. May the Force be with you all.